Me, me, me. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the game according to me. During the football season, the weekly podcast that delves into the world of college and pro football, the NFL. Sometimes we head off during the season into baseball with the World Series happening and basketball and things like that. Although today we're going keep strictly with our normal every week to comment with the college football and the pro football. And as always, we start out with the college football. Got a couple of games to recap and a game to preview. So last Thursday was game one of the semifinals between Notre Dame and Penn State. Notre Dame won 27-24. So really some interesting things in this game. The quarterback for Penn State, Drew Aller, basically he threw 3 interceptions. There were 2 were called back for defensive penalties. One, a lot of people say, on the second one, the call of pass interference was wrong. That shouldn't have been a pass interference. But the third one was the most damning one, because that was the one at the end of the game when they were trying to try to get back, try to go down and get into field goal range to win the game, and he threw a pick to Christian Gray. Yes, that's his name, Christian Gray. And he picked off the pass of Drew Aller, which set up the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in great field position to kick the field and keep the game-winning field goal at the end of the game to beat Penn State and go on to the national championship 27-24. That game, as a Notre Dame fan, that game was your worst fear, because I think, you could see that Riley Leonard just wasn't, he just wasn't, even though he made some plays in the second half in the passing game, which is what he actually did the second half of the season. He really was limited in the first half, and then when he got injured and they took him out to check him for a concussion, and Steve Angeli came in and he drove down the field in the passing game and got them in field position to kick a field goal at the end of the half to make it 10-3, I believe. That's what you want from a quarterback. You want a quarterback to be able to pass the ball, make plays in the passing game. Because listen, this is just the way the game is now. Even though Notre Dame is a run team, but you have to make plays from the pocket in the passing game to win. It's like that in the colleges, like that in the pros. And if your quarterback cannot do that consistently, you don't have a real chance to win. But I tell you, the Notre Dame team has some fight in them, and has some grit in them, and they didn't let up. That fourth quarter, most of all the points came in that fourth quarter. The running backs for Penn State were great. Singleton, I believe that's the guy that had 3 touchdowns that Penn State scored, and so he was good. And yeah, there was just some great fire, and Notre Dame just wouldn't let up, and that's commendable. And Marcus Freeman becomes the first black and first Asian coach to ever to ever coach in a national championship game on the FBS level. So that's amazing, and that's good for him. And I think that's some history there. And now he has a chance to become the first black and first Asian head coach to win a national championship on the FBS level, which is awesome. And I think that's a fun thing. And I really wanted, and not only as a Notre Dame fan, but I'm not a fan of James Franklin. And all week early past press conferences, James Franklin were taking little shots and little digs at Notre Dame, and Marcus Freeman did not like it. The All-American safety Xavier Watts came out after the game and said, yes, there were some things that were said in press conferences that Marcus Freeman didn't like. So James Franklin taking his little shots and everything like that, and so Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they took their shots on the field, which is what you're supposed to do. So, and that's good, and I liked it, and so 27-24 victory for Notre Dame, put them in the national championship game on Friday, on Thursday. On Friday, it was Ohio State's turn to go out there, and they went out there and they put some points on the board. It was still a very close game until the end of the game when Quinn Ewers had the ball stripped by a guy who I also do not like, number 33, whatever his name is, of Ohio State. Um, he's someone who needs to knock him the fuck out so that he knows, so he exactly knows who he is. And what he is and who he is. And so he took the ball and he ran it for a touchdown, made it 24-28, and that's it for Ohio State. Now Ohio State's it. And again, you kind of have the thing where you have this tremendous offense in Ohio State, and you get this tremendous defense in Notre Dame. And who's going to win? It's the strength against strength. And I'm glad to see, at least I've heard, that there hasn't been anybody out there to say that Notre Dame is not in Ohio State's class. They some people are predicting Ohio State to win, and that's totally fine. Um, you can do that. But I would also say that to sit up here and say that Notre Dame doesn't have a chance is ridiculous. Of course he has. Of course Notre Dame has a chance, and if you don't think that they do, you haven't been watching. You haven't been watching, and I think for people to sit up here and say that Ohio State's gonna blow them out, I don't think that's the case. This is going to be really good. This is going to be really, and don't forget Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman was a player at Ohio State. He was a player at Ohio State, and so it's this is him going up against his alma mater, and so that's a good one. There's a lot of great things going on here. I think that what you want to do here is, if you're Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I think you really want to try to open up on that run game. Hopefully, Jeremiah Love get some more rest, and he's a little bit more healthy, more healthy for that game. Jadarian Price, the second back, when he comes in, even the third back in Aeneas Williams, and then of course you have the quarterback run game with Riley Leonard. I think that's what they need to do. I think what I would try to do is I would try to go ball control, because Ohio State is quick strike. It's a quick strike offense. They can, we saw it in the game that Trayvon Henderson screen pass and went for a touchdown. It can be just like that. I think what you don't want to do is you don't want to have yourself up and be down 14-21, to nothing, or 21-3, and that could happen because that's a very high-powered offense. So I think what you want to do, if you're Notre Dame, is you want to try to control the ball. What you want to do is you want to make simple passes to keep, to keep the chains, the head of the chains. So so if you make the third down, it's a 3rd and 5, it's a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, something manageable. You don't want to get into these 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s and 3rd and 10s. You don't want to, because again, even though Riley Leonard made plays, that's not his game. This is not his game. And Ohio State's got a pretty good defense themselves. So as did Penn State. Now you made plays against Penn State. You did have some little help, a couple of falling defenders and things like that, but But this is what you do. But that's I think what you want to do. And I think if you're Ohio State, what I said is exactly what you want to do. You want to get up on this thing. I would not be surprised if Ohio State gets the ball. If they win the toss, they set to receive the ball because you want to try to get up early on Notre Dame. You want to try to make what you want to do is you want to make Notre Dame one dimensional, and then you can bring pressure because they've got they've lost a couple of offensive linemen in that game against Penn State, did Notre Dame. And even though they got great coaches and they're gonna coach them up and make them um, make them ready for anything and everything that Ohio State might bring, at least what they've shown on film. Still, you want to be able to get up and then just pin your ears back and go after Riley Leonard. Things like that. What you want to do is you want to make Marcus Freeman make maybe the unreasonable, not the unreasonable, the maybe unfavorable choice of benching Riley Leonard for Stephen Jelly. That's what you want to do. Is you want to do that. Even though Riley Leonard he seems to be a great leader, and the G Willikers of him and Jesus bless and everything that he says and everything like that is something I think that everybody at Notre Dame gets behind and follows behind, but you got to play on the field. And Stephen Jelly is the better quarterback, and like I've said, you got to make plays in the quarterback position. So I think that's really the game. It's the Notre Dame run offense against the Ohio State run defense. Can they keep the change? In fact, and listen, you can do different things to get like this. You can you know you can do quick passes and things like that, and do rub routes and mesh routes and things like that, so that you can try to stay ahead of the chains that way as well. I'm not saying necessarily that you have to completely, you know, just just go, old school football 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But I also think that's what you can't do is you just can't like try to do these long routes, things like that, and when maybe Ryan really can't make those throws and isn't good at those a lot of the time. So yeah, it's gonna be a battle. As a Notre Dame fan, I can't believe that we're here. I really can't. I wanted this for so long, and I've just I've enjoyed this season, and I still go back to the loss that they had against Northern Illinois, and I came on this podcast and I crushed them. I absolutely fucking crushed them because I couldn't believe because I thought that their chance of maybe making the playoffs would be over, but I didn't account for three things. One, I didn't account for the SEC to beat up on each other like they did. With now Texas and Oklahoma in there, Georgia and Alabama, and things like that, and Tennessee and LSU and all those other teams in the SEC. Now that's it. Yes, that is maybe the best conference in the entire college football subdivision, the FBS. But they're going to beat up on each other. And Alabama is going to beat Georgia, but then Alabama's going to lose to Texas, but Texas is going to lose to Georgia. And and then they're all going to lose to Ole Miss or something like that. I don't know. But the Ole Miss is going to lose to Vanderbilt. And then you have things like that. So that was one. Two, I forgot that it is a long season, and to Notre Dame's credit, the loss was early in the season. It was the second game of the season that loss was, which means after that when they were 1-1 and they had 10 more games to do what they did, And that's the number three thing is that they not only went out and won those games, they dominated most of those games. You know, defensively stopping teams, getting turnovers, and then offensively, you know, scoring those opportunities on those turnovers, turning those scoring opportunities, you know, turnovers into scoring opportunities. Damn, I can't fucking talk for some reason. I guess I'm just so damn happy. But yes, it was great, and they were beating the teams that they did. Navy and Army were great. They're great teams this year. I think you could say they were great teams this year, and they just completely obliterated both of them. Obliterated both of them. Louisville was a nice team. I think they beat them like 45-21. They the next game they had after their loss with Northern Illinois was Purdue. They they put 60 on Purdue, 60 burger or close to it, and they were dominant defensively. Even losing Benjamin Morrison, their best cornerback, and other players that would leave from time to time with injuries or whatever. But they were just delicate. And then to do what they did in the playoffs too, they they ran with a great Indiana team. They held their own against a Georgia team from the SEC. They made a delicious comeback and withstood Penn State's you know grit and fervor to make it here. Now they have to do that with Ohio State. Now they have to do that with Ohio State. I can't wait to be. So a programming note, by the way, when it comes to that, I have decided to do a kind of a watch along on Friday on the 20th, Monday the 20th. So yes, so if you are watching this, if you are listening to this on my YouTube channel, or if you are listening to this wherever you listen to your podcast, please make sure you go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/at AJTRIP20. The link is down in the description. You can copy and paste or click on the link if it's there, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. And I'm gonna go live, and I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna sit there, and I'm going to talk. I'm gonna watch the game and talk about it, and just be. And I'm gonna have my Notre Dame shirt on, and I'm gonna ride the highs and do the lows and things like that, and hopefully be a part of something that hasn't been happening since 1988, excuse me, when I was 6. That was the last time Notre Dame won a national championship. I was 6. I turned 43 last Saturday. So, it's going to be amazing. Ohio State, Notre Dame for the national championship. We'll see how it rolls. On to the National Football League. On to the NFL and Super Wild Card Weekend. And before we start, they talked about, like, what's his name? Roger Goodell doesn't want this to be called Super Wild Card Weekend anymore. Here's my thing: whether you call it Super Wild Card Weekend or you don't, can we stop with the Monday Night Football game? First of all, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's I, to me, just do this, right? You have 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. And on Sunday, it's your normal thing. It's your CBS game, Fox game, NBC Sunday Night Football. On Saturday, yeah, if you want, do it all the other things. Do the one on ESPN. Do it on work out on ESPN. Maybe what you do is you have 2 games on ESPN, and then the Amazon Prime game. Or vice versa. Amazon Prime game and then the 2 ESPN games, or whatever. But it's like trying to make playoff Monday Night Football work it's not working, and it's a hindrance. Now, I guess you could say that I think the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl, they played on Monday night, I think, against the Arizona Cardinals. And that didn't hurt them at all. They were able to go to Tampa Bay and win in Tampa Bay, and then they were able to. What were they able to do after that? Who were they able to beat to win the championship? Oh, Jesus, I forgot already. Um, but yeah, they were able anyway. They were able to do that, and then go and then win the Super Bowl. Um, but I'm just not a big fan of it anyway. So let's get to the games. Let's start with Saturday's games. First game was the Texans and the Chargers. It really looked like the Chargers had the game really on lock until there was a play before the 2 minute warning of the halftime where the ball was snapped over, or it was either snapped over C.J. Stroud's head, or the snap got away from him, and it bounced right to him. He was able to run and make a throw to Xavier Hutchinson, who caught it down the field. And then when it came back from the 2 minute warning, C.J. Stroud had a run that was incredible, and he was able to get get the things going, and I believe they scored a touchdown going into that. And after that, it was all Texans, and they intercepted Justin Herbert 4 times. He only threw 3 interceptions in the entire regular season, threw 4 in one playoff game, and completely dominated the Chargers. And gonna be honest with you, I like what I see because of Jim Harbaugh. It's all of the people in Chicago who wanted Jim Harbaugh here. This is what he gave you. So, but yeah, great, a great interesting game by the Texans, and now the Texans being the 4th seed, we had to wait to see what went down in the other 2 games to see where they were going to. Later that evening, Saturday, was the Ravens and Steelers, and the Ravens beat the Steelers 28-14, just bludgeoned them to death, and that's what it looks like they might try to do here in this playoff, just bludgeon teams to death. Give the and I think it was the first quarter, and Lamar Jackson had 8 runs, and I talked about Notre Dame and how you have to make plays from the pocket, in the pass game, to win championships nowadays, and they're doing it a different way, and they may win the championship a different way. If this is how the Ravens are going to do this, there's a possibility they could win like this. Because Lamar Jackson, he didn't have a spectacular game. I think he was like 13 of 16 for 100 something yards. I think he had a couple touchdowns, or 1 or 2 touchdowns, but he wasn't truly effective in the pass game. It was all of the run game with Derrick Henry, and they rolled Derrick Henry. And there's a chance that they could really do that. Although I think the teams that they would have to face, would force Lamar Jackson. And here's the thing, and I wonder if teams are not playing Lamar Jackson correctly here. Because listen, for those of you got long-time listeners of the podcast, know that I am not a Lamar Jackson guy. I'm not. Admittedly, this season he has done things that I didn't think he would do. He's done for 4,000 yards. He threw for over 40 touchdowns. Great efficiency in the passing game for most of the season. He actually looked like a quarterback. And if he does that next year, I have to, as much as I don't like him, I have to admit that he is a quarterback, a tremendous quarterback. But I definitely want to see him do it another year. Um, and also possibly do it, in the game. Because I think college may be one thing. Notre Dame can maybe get away with that over at Ohio State, where Riley Leonard is 13 of 16 and 100 some yards and maybe a touchdown or two, and then they completely bludgeon them in the run game, and they'll win a national championship. But I don't think that's going to happen with Baltimore or any team. Yeah, you're going to have to make plays in the passing game from the pocket to win at some point. Whether it's this round, next round, championship game, or the Super Bowl itself. And we'll see if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can do that. You know, I really want to see that. But yeah, they took it to the Steelers. Steelers were just really, but they came out at halftime and really they made it fall back. But it was lifeless. It seemed like excuse me, it was lifeless the first half for the Steelers, and that's uncoming of Mike Tomlin and his teams and things like that. And the conversation that comes from that is Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, is it now over with? There are a lot of Steelers fans that want to fire Mike Tomlin, and I do think that is crazy. But I think he is a great coach. He is obviously one of the top 5 coaches in the league, without question. And to do what he did this year with this team, I think is incredible. Because first of all, he started off with having Justin Fields play, and he was 3-2 in those games. And then when he brought back Russell Wilson, and then he won even more games with Russell Wilson. And so I just think what really thing is with the Steelers is that they need to solve the quarterback position. It's not Russell Wilson, I don't think, and it's definitely not Justin Fields. So what they're gonna need to do is they're going to need to sign somebody, unfortunately, again, and they're gonna have to hope it's probably gonna need to be a retread. It's going to need to be, can they sign Sam Darnold? Are they going to hope that, Arthur Smith can, you know, do magic on somebody like Zach Wilson or or whoever is out there, you know, when it comes to free agent quarterbacks who maybe might need a second or third or last chance. Sorry about that. So yeah, it is interesting to see what the Steelers are going to do. Sunday, we started off with the third AFC game. The Bills beat the Broncos 31-7. It was, it's I want to say it really wasn't even that close. I love the talk about how this was a bad matchup for the Bills. It's nothing's a bad matchup when you have Josh Allen, when you have the greatest quarterback in the league today. And yes, he is the greatest quarterback in the league. Jamar Jackson may have played the best, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but Josh Allen is and has been the best quarterback in the National Football League for about 3 or 4 years since that divisional playoff game against Kansas City Chiefs. And I think it's time that we start admitting that to everybody, and we put our racial bias aside, you know, and realize that. That's why we do that. But yeah, Broncos went up 7-0, and then the Bills just ran 30 points off straight, stopping Bo Nix and the Broncos. Excuse me, stopping Bo Nix and the Broncos, and they did a great job of it. So now in the AFC, what that gives you is the all of the division winners won, so that means that the Chiefs will host the Texans, who are the 4th seed, and the Bills will host who the 2 seed will host the Ravens, who are the 3 seed. Very interesting there. I think both games are rematches from games in the season. Uh, um, the Texans and the Chiefs played. That was the game Tank Dell dislocated his kneecap. Very sad moment. Chiefs with another one-score victory over the Texans in that one. And the Ravens really started off. They had that long run for Derrick Henry, and it was really fait accompli after that. The Bills could not stop the Ravens for the most part, and the Bills couldn't get it off the ground. So um, they couldn't get going for some reason. That was back when the Ravens weren't was a little bit bad on defense. So that does worry me when it comes to that, because it was back when they were bad on defense, but they were able to still stop and hold Josh Allen down. But they were at Baltimore. They will now be in Buffalo. I think what might help Buffalo is that it's going to be cold. It's going to be about 6 degrees, I think they said. Maybe some snow. We saw what happened with San Francisco with the snow game. So although Ravens are built for that, because they can run again. They will run the ball with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So I said something earlier, and I think I stopped when I started, and I do that often. So that's just one of the things about me. You're kind of have to deal with when you listen to this podcast. I go somewhere and then I drift off. But I said, our team's not playing Lamar Jackson correctly. Because I think what I would do is that I would just, I would sit down and I would brace for the run. When the run doesn't come and Lamar Jackson sits off, I'm playing man coverage. So I'm playing, one-on-one man coverage, and then I got one guy, and I'm covering Lamar Jackson with 2 guys. Covering Lamar Jackson with 2 guys. And if Lamar Jackson gets out, then I'm having one guy go. I'm having one guy rush him as he comes up. Then I'm having one guy stay back, so that if he is able to juke and evade that rusher, then you got the backup guy. And I'm still playing man. I'm saying wherever I'm telling my cover guys, whatever you do, just stay with your receiver. Don't worry about. We got 2 guys on Lamar Jackson. Don't worry about him. Do your job. Play man. Stay with your receiver. Stay in front of him. Stay whatever. They don't have speed burners. Rashad Bateman is average speed. Some of the other guys they got receivers at average speed. Likely and Andrews are tight ends. Who have nice speed, but they don't have blazing speed. So your cornerbacks and your safeties should be able to, even your linebackers should be able to stay with these guys. But you got to have 2 guys focused on Lamar Jackson. And then when Lamar Jackson breaks the pocket, one guy goes to try and get him. The other guy follows along behind, or like a few yards behind, so that so that if Lamar Jackson can evade that guy, you gotta worry about that one. I think that's what you gotta do. That's how I would play him. We'll have to wait and see what the Bills do, but that's what I would do to try to hold Lamar Jackson down. My goal would be to stop the run first, stop Derrick Henry, and then once Lamar Jackson tries to go ahead and start playing in the pocket, I try to work on that. Okay, so That's it for the AFC. Now for the NFC, the second game on Sunday was the Packers and the Eagles. The Packers was just I just think they were just too banged up. Um, Jordan Love with his elbow, torn ACL for Christian Watson. We had injuries happen, all throughout the game for the Packers. Two receivers went down, and a couple of linemen went down. It was just, and then it all started badly with the opening kickoff, which they fumbled, and the Eagles got. So I think it was fait accompli from the first beginning. The Eagles won 22-10. Um, Good on them. They Eagles are second seed, so they means that they would stay home for the next game. Sunday night football was the Commanders and the Buccaneers. This was a very tremendous game, back and forth action. Um, Buccaneers had the game kind of intact until the fourth quarter when there was a fumble on a handoff between a receiver and Baker Mayfield, recovered by the Commanders. They scored a touchdown. I didn't, got back into the game. It was tied 20-20, and then a last-second field goal was hit by the Washington kicker, uh, doinked off the right upright and through the thing for the victory. Amazing how lucky they got and how unlucky the Bears got a few years ago with the double doink. Um, so yeah, Commanders. Jaden Daniels played well. Jaden Daniels has a cut he did fight through, and yes, he's been he's just it's just amazing again to see another rookie. And listen, all of the rookies pretty much played well. Played well, Drake May showed some definitely some signs of greatness, and then Bo Nix was good, and Jaden Daniels was very good, and Caleb Williams here in Chicago was nice as well. Although there are now things coming out that maybe he's not as as a hard worker as we would like. There's some David Kaplan has relayed that to his audience over on the radio. So we'll have to wait to see. But yes, going back to Dane Daniels, a tremendous game, and them being the sixth seed, um, they would go on to face. They're going on to face the Detroit Lions, and then the Monday night game wasn't even a game. The Vikings and the Rams moved to Arizona because of the wildfires out in California. And I don't think I have said this, so let me say it here right now. Thoughts are with everybody out in the California area who are dealing with these wildfires, who have lost homes and lost memories and lost things and lost lives. This is where you wish that comic books were real, so that you can ask Thor. So Thor could go up there and he can call upon the rain or Storm from the X-Men. They can call them from the rain to quell the wildfires in California. Unfortunately, though, superheroes are not real, but heroes are, and there are heroes not only for the firefighters in California, but firefighters who were from Canada and from Mexico who have come to the United States from government to help with the wildfires. It's a wonderful thing to see, helping your fellow man, your fellow neighbor, and gotta give a lot of those guys love and respect, for doing that, and we appreciate that. Um, so because of that, the game was moved to Arizona. Great job by the Cardinals. Good on them as well. They tried to do everything they could to make it feel like a home game for the Los Angeles Rams. They had, they flew all of the players and players' wives and something like that. And then I think they helped with the Rams busing Rams fans, Rams season ticket holders to the game from Los Angeles to Arizona. Um, and it was and Rams they gave their city a lot to go about because they completely and utterly destroyed the Vikings 27-9. Um, and it was the biggest. Um, it was one of the biggest blowout from a number standpoint. That was still, I believe, Bills and Broncos, but it was the biggest blowout, I think, because of what was going on with Los Angeles and what was needed for there and something like that. And hopefully the Rams was able to give the people of Los Angeles and people of California a little bit of joy in their unfortunate situations that are happening with them. With the Vikings, real quick, to talk about Sam Darnold, with tremendous year. Last two games, he was looking like the old Sam Darnold of the past. So I really think here's what I really think. People talk about, what do you do with, Sam Darnold. Well, here's what I think you should do is, if I'm Minnesota, I don't franchise him. I transition tag him. Yeah, and I give him I give them the high tender, because the high tender would give the Vikings two first round picks, I believe. So you high tender them in a transition tag, and you see if anybody wants to sign him. Anyone wants to give up two second round picks for Sam Darnold. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they and if they don't, well then it's an easy case. You Sam Darnold is a starter going into next year, and you see if he can repeat what he did, this year. It's almost like, the thing like we saw with, Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith and some of the other reclamation projects, right? They came out there and they had that tremendous year. Let's see if you can do it again, and they did. Geno's done it 3 years now. Baker's done it 2 years now, I believe. Uh, and that's amazing. So now let's see now if Sam Darnold can do it for his second year. And then if he can, then you have a decision to make at the end of the 2025 season. Do you pay Sam Darnold, some money, and you trade J.J. McCarthy? If he doesn't do it, then you can let him go. And in 2026 is J.J. McCarthy's turn. It's not his team. I think that's the perfect way to do it. I don't see why you would just let him go, or I don't see why you would let him go or sign him long term. You get the transition tag right there. Make him do it again. So now, anyway, to go back to the playoffs, we now have the two NFC playoff games. The Commanders at the Lions and the Rams are at the Eagles. Commanders and Lions did not play this year, so not a rematch. But this is another rematch of the Rams and Eagles early in the season. The Eagles really put it on the Rams. Saquon Barkley, I believe, ran for over 200 yards in that game. It was a Sunday night football game. And so we'll see what they can do. So we'll see what they can do if they can, if that's what they can do that again. If they're gonna be at home this time, that game was at Los Angeles. Even though there were a lot of Eagles fans there, and it was sounding like a home game for the Eagles, they got a true home game now, and we'll see if they can do the same thing with the Rams. The Rams may be a different team now, as well. So other good things there to talk about with the Rams and Eagles. Commanders and Lions. This is going to be an interesting one, because how are the Lions going to do? David Montgomery might be back for the Lions, although again I will say this until I'm blue in the face. Jahmyr Gibbs is your guy. If you give Jahmyr Gibbs the chance, this guy I think could be the second best running back in the history of the franchise behind Barry Sanders. He is that good. He is that fast. He's that speed. Just give him the tools to do it. Give him the tools to do it. He can take the beating. He's showing that. Stop fucking around with David Montgomery. That being said, anything goes in the playoffs. Do what you got to do to win. If David Montgomery plays, give him the ball when if you need to give him the ball. And that's it. The Washington Commanders need to do what they need to do to try to win as well. And so we'll see what goes down in Detroit on Saturday night. Should be a very fun game. I cannot wait. Saturday's games, Texas at the Chiefs, and then the Commanders at the Lions. Sunday, it is the Rams and the Eagles, and then the Ravens and the Bills. So it should be fun. Three outdoor games. I think some chilly weather, in all three places. Like we talked about, maybe some snow in Buffalo. And the Lions, of course, play inside the dome. Should be some great fun here. Divisional round weekend. A lot of people say this is the best weekend of football because it's the divisional round. You've got best teams more than likely still playing, and it's a fun. And while I understand why people would say that, best weekend of football is still always it will be opening weekend because football is starting back. That's the best weekend of football. But I do understand why people do love this weekend in the divisional round. Very, very fun. 4 games. Let's go get it. Should be fun. Let's go ahead and close this out. Alright, guys. So that's going to be the end for this week's edition of the game according to me. We'll be back next week. Let me make sure now. We'll be back next week to, where we'll talk about the things. I think we'll be back next week. We should. I got a whole bunch of other things going on, so we should be back the next couple of weeks to talk about that as well. Maybe if not next week, definitely the week after, and talk about the update the NBA standings again for you guys and everything like that. One thing we didn't mention this episode, we're mentioning it out here. Mike Vrabel is the new head coach of the New England Patriots. That seems to be a lock once they get rid of Gerard Mayo. So that will be that. And so we'll see what else we can do. Those things look to be that way. And so we'll talk about the things and everything the way that everything like that is gonna go down this weekend. So that'll be the next edition of the game according to me. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want to support this podcast, many ways to do it. You can go to patreon.com/AJTRIP to become a patron. Once I hit a certain amount of patrons, you will be able to determine what you hear on my other podcast, the AJTRIP Show. First show coming out very soon. You'll be able to see what video games I play on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AJTRIP20. I have to have the video game though. And what YouTube videos you want me to do over on my my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AJTRIP20. Again, make sure you go over there and you subscribe and you click the notification bell because I will be doing a watch along on Monday the 20th. Where we'll be talking about the national championship game. And there's also other ways to do it as well. If you dig in the description box in the podcast, as you go to the Spotify section, and then you can do that there. There are 3 tiers: 99 cents, $4.99, and $9.99. Then obviously, this is a big time. We just coming off just the holiday season. Somebody spend a lot of money. Maybe you don't have the money to support support me and my content. But the other way to do it is to just again, to rate this podcast, give it 5 stars, comment on it, share it over your social medias and things like that. I think that would be appreciative of it because again, I am just happy that you guys listen to this. Apparently I have 6 people on Spotify who follow this podcast and listen to it, so I appreciate it. Obviously very, very small group, but it's a group that I am very lucky to have, and I know that. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. This is your boy AJTRIP signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.